Hello YouTube, this is Sonic2Geek here, and welcome back to another Python tutorial. I believe this is tutorial 23. We are getting pretty far, and one thing that I said, I think from the beginning of the series, is that I want to try and teach almost everything that is built into Python in 2.7.2 slash 2.7.6 in 2.7.x. I want to teach everything that's in it, or as much as I can humanly teach. And I think I've been keeping true to that. Talk about doc strings, and I want to go deeper into doc strings using like annotations like at param and stuff in doc strings, but that's for another tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to talk about some of the SYS and OS functions. So without further ado, let's get started. So let's say import this, or not this, SYS. Import SYS basically imports the SYS module, which is a built-in module for Python. Then what we're going to say is import OS, which will import the operating system module. This imports the system module, and all these are built into Python. And then what we can say, the reason it's giving me errors there with Sublime Linter is because these are unused imports. So let's say print sys.platform. If we build that, it'll say Darwin. Now on Linux, if you're using Python 2.7, of course, this will say Linux 2 or CYG-Win, I think it's called. It'll say CYG-Win. On Windows, it'll say Win32. I don't think there's a Win64. On OS X, it is Darwin. And I'm not sure about a lot of the other ones. You can check out a list on the Python documentation for more information on that, but I will probably have a list of all the possible operating systems on the screen right now, including a link to the documentation, the Python official documentation, and on the screen, and as well as in the description. So this basically prints out the OS that you're running under. So that's good. But what we can also say is os.system echo hello world. Hold on, I'll fix this in a second. We can do that. And then what we'd want to do is we would want to go to that folder or file. Let's say cd desktop programming Python tutorials LSL Python main.py, and it'll say hello world. But the better thing to do would be to say bash. I'll explain this in a second. Don't worry. Just follow along for right now. Bear with me. Oh, that's not working. Let's say it was. That's. Oh, crap. That's something else. Don't worry. Right. Okay. Hold on. Sometimes OS.system doesn't. It just plays up for some reason. Python main.py, it'll say hello world. Now, this works because now you probably want to check the OS using the sys.platform to do this. So these kind of go hand in hand, these modules. But because on Windows some of the things are different. But what we can say is os.system echo hello world. Those of you that already know bash will probably understand this. But if you don't understand Python, you'll not understand how this works. Basically, os.system, when called from the command line here, that's just my Bitcoin address, it will actually echo it. Oh, to my surprise, it actually does. But this will basically run something as if it were to be run from the command line. So this will execute some command line code. But what you'd want to do is you want to check the module, because if you want to say list everything in a directory, I believe that's tree on Windows or something. I don't like Windows and I don't use it, so I'm not sure. But it's probably like, I think it's dir. Actually, I think it is dir to list all the stuff in a directory. But on Unix operating systems, it is ls. Well, most Unix operating systems I've used, such as Ubuntu, Linux Mint, and OS X, of course. But that's how you do that. So you'd probably want to say if system platform is Darwin or Linux 2, then do that. But if it's Win32 or CYG Win, I really don't know what CYG Win means. If someone else can tell me, feel free to. And this basically does it executes some code from the command line. So you could change directories, you can do whatever from the command line. So that's pretty nifty. Another built-in thing from the OS module is os.path. And this is a very handy thing. It's a very handy module. And it basically lets you work with paths. So say you had two paths. This would be more useful if you're using something like Pygame. And I was about to make a Pygame tutorial, but then I thought, right, to link the directories, you probably want to use the method I'm about to show you. But I haven't taught it, and I don't want to say, right, you'll learn this next tutorial. And I could have probably recorded that first, but I'm going to teach it now. So let's say, assets dir equals assets. And then let's say, actually no, we don't need to do that. Let's just say image equals well, we could say pygame.image.load, but let's just say os.path.join. You'd put this and say pygame.image.load. And what os.path.join is, it logically links two paths together. So instead of you having to check or enter in the full path, you could add these directories together. Say the user were to enter a directory, you would want to say os.path.join to link them, but you wouldn't want to check if, say, the user entered a slash instead. It links them together with ease, really. If you were writing a program and the user entered a directory, but say it entered one directory with a slash, another one without, and the next one with a slash at the beginning but not at the end, instead of you having to check for all that, os.path.join does that for you. All you need to enter is the path names. This could be one path, or this could be, well, this could be two or more paths. So let's just say assets image. This is the real path, by the way, so this might not actually work, but let's see, my face, really, it is that PNG. Let's say print image, and it logically links them together. So let's actually get the user to enter it in. So let's say dir1 equals raw input, enter your first directory. dir2 equals raw input, enter your second directory. dir3 equals raw input, enter your I'm doing it first, third directory. Let's just say dir1, dir2, and dir3. Yep, I was thinking that wouldn't work, so say slash this might work, and it logically links them together because I have the slashes in random, like the front, back. Basically just links files together in a logical manner without you having to do a lot of the checking. Python does it all for you. You of course still do this if you want, but I don't really see the point. Yeah, works like a charm. Those are some of the ones I find really useful. Let me show you something that I've actually been working on. File system helper.py, and this is basically a file system helper module if you want to ever do stuff working with file systems. And this is a good example of it. I have in change directory, for example, I enter the directory that you want to change to and the path type. Check out it starts with. That's for another tutorial. Actually, that wasn't a very good example. Yeah, here. So in make a directory, I have the user enter the folder name and the folder path. Then I say os.path.exists, which I will teach in a second, and it checks if this directory exists, and it logically links the paths together using folder name, folder path, and folder name. And that's a good example of how files can be linked together using os.path.join. It's very, very useful. I'm sure you've already thought of a use for it. If you haven't, maybe just play a bit with yourself. I'm sure at some point you will. But yeah. The next thing I want to teach, like I just said, is os.path.exists. So let's say print os. Let's say print os.path.exists, os.path.join, dir1, dir2, and dir3. Oh, because it doesn't work from there. Let's say this is test. False, because this is test does not exist in the current working directory. The current working directory by default is the folder from which the file is in. It's .py that's in pwd. It's in this file, and the current working directory is in this file. This is where it defaults to look for files. What we can do is no, that's for another tutorial. But os.path.exists basically checks if a certain path exists, and you could do os.path.join to see if it exists. This can be useful in Pi if the user enters a directory, and if it doesn't exist, you could either return an error or maybe even create the directory. Yeah. I think that's really, that's as far as I want to go in this tutorial. This will probably be the first part that I want to teach. But just remember, os.path.join joins two paths together. os.system basically executes a piece of code from the command line. sys.platform turns your current platform. Yeah. Thanks for watching this tutorial. Hopefully it was clear enough. My name's Sonic2KK, and I will see you in the next tutorial.